علي مالوين تيجي المرة رجول أضرب بلاد ما سبيل قطولين المين تيجي رجول أوكي على كده غير كلا بلور بلاد تيجي تيجي الموت المال أيام مرة واكلا angara babel dao to ngani atelgi bel kloluriora TMC guk mlobengela guk okkera tel blai mang bere matsuko mangani atelel met mu endik mul medong okle ma era gul mol medik ngwa te al mumsang ngel ap mo introducing il akum da so da dile emol to fierce ya adre bela uro va ngel wasak mom sa ta mang ang klela director Agro State Rangers Mrs. Jennifer Olegeriil maktingo algo kung umsang endingi mo smoothie e kore mo introduce ngal togobet sa okkya kargid lo bangedra alsela TMC del alsils
Malmusulang Viera, and thank you. Good afternoon to all the viewers. I would like to begin by extending my warm respect to Atangak Libadul, Abilung, Arangara Makati, Marbul Kaldeo, Abilung Marakarangap, Tirikan Malosus Rabek Kal Aldabe, Rablur Orior, Atangak Kalkabenor, Eos Rudim, Maradalera Executive Branch sa Coro State Government, Tirikan Malo Darsa Susaranga Kalmura Atangak Lel Speaker, Milan Isa kara 12th Core State Legislature, Maruguyal Legislators Rablur Orior, Marbek Kal Adra Rablur Orior, Loreng Sertial Program, Tirikan Losusan Mura President, Maradalera National Government, Ma President ra Senate, Hokons Paules, Maradal, Speaker ra House, sabi na Anastasio Maradar House of Delegates direkal mal gora ay liyak kal susur nga kay kukurate illegal metialo ba may el mora Vitaliang mora raklay ra Vitaliang da mar bekalubukul ma asila blur belaw kami ro ko iwal plan lo ay sabira. My name is Jennifer Serang Olegeriil. I'm sure you're very familiar with the work I do. I am the director for the Department of Conservation and Law Enforcement sa ngaring Coro State Rangers Sergid Lurere da mga tmokle mga lualwa sabaak like al albabeth ma tial marine and terrestrial environment rablur orior al close pel da kadil adro orior adira kal blur belaw rogir ma ikrela blur belaw. Today is a very special day for myself coming here to TMZ because I bring with me a very, very important friend to the Koror, Rock Island, Southern Lagoon, and to Palau, Dr. Fanny Douvere, who is the head of the Marine Program for the UNESCO World Heritage Site based in Paris. France headquarters is here. She's been here for a week, conducting a site visit for the Rock Island Southern Lagoon. We know that the Rock Island Southern Lagoon is inscribed onto the UNESCO World Heritage Site list as a mixed site, both as a natural site as well as a cultural site. It was inscribed in June of 2012, and it is will be celebrating 12 years of inscription this coming June for the Rock Island Southern Lagoon. So I will let her introduce herself more and why she's here and her reflections so far on the site visit so far here for the Rock Island Southern Lagoon. So, Dr. Fanny, thank you for being here, and please tell everyone what this is all about.
And before you go on, I think TMC is about to hire her as one of the hosts. I mean, what a way to start the show, but please.
Well, thank you so much. First of all, a very deep appreciation to the community of Palau, the people of Palau, for the incredible warm welcome that UNESCO has received during this week. We landed last week, so we've been here just for a little less than a week. I think one of the things that strikes and fills you with warmth. It's the incredible, beautiful community that you have here in Palau. I have visited many places all over the world throughout my career, but I think I've rarely seen such a respectful community towards each other, respect to preserve your community, your culture, but above all else also the natural environment. So I wish to extend, on behalf of the UNESCO mission that is here, my deepest respect to the community of Palau and the people of Palau for being such a beautiful people and for giving us this beautiful welcome. So we've been here for a week. We've been working hard because clearly people of Palau work hard. And so we were for the entire week primarily in meetings. So we met with the president of Palau. We met with traditional leadership. We met with NGOs, and we met also with the governor of Koror State, who is responsible for the protection of Rock Island, Southern Lagoon, and of course with the director as well. So my role and the role of UNESCO and my team is to preserve, to help governments to preserve those very unique special places in the ocean that are inscribed on the UNESCO World Heritage List. So UNESCO World Heritage is something very prestigious. When a country receives that designation, as Palau has received here for the Rock Island Southern Lagoon, it tells the world that Palau has something that is truly unique, truly exceptional, something that is of what we call outstanding universal value, not just to Palau, but to all the people of the world. It is, the Rock Island Southern Lagoon is part of that very exceptional collection of places around the world, ocean places and cultural places around the world, that we want to preserve as humanity as a whole for future generations. And really what it is about is the Rock Island Southern Lagoon is part of that legacy of the past, both cultural and natural. It is a place that we live with today, and that we want to pass on to future generations in at least as good as a state as we inherited it from our grandfathers and mothers and great-grandfathers and great-mothers and the generations of the past. So what it means in practice is that anybody that comes to the Rock Island Southern Lagoon has a shared responsibility to protect the Rock Island Southern Lagoon. The lagoons, the jellyfish lake, the coral reef ecosystems, but also the entire island system that you have, the ecosystem that you have, the cultural artifacts that are still there, the remains, the villages. We had the opportunity to visit all of that last Saturday. So we had a really a clear experience and a clear understanding of how prestigious and how unique and pristine the Rock Island Southern Lagoon are still today. I think we all know climate change is very detrimental to especially our coral reefs, but also our cultural heritage. Here in Palau, you see that the effort of the community as a whole to protect the lagoons still really makes that the lagoons today are still quite pristine. But what is critically important is that investment to make that effort to protect them, to have rangers that go onto the lagoon, that visitors that are coming here are paying a respectful visit that brings a return to the community of Palau. The investment that is made to hold that up is critically important today. We see all over the world that climate change is very fast affecting our coral reefs. We see mass bleaching everywhere today. The only way really to still give those coral reefs some capability to stand that test of time in a global warming and a fast warming ocean is to build the resilience on the ground, to keep them as healthy as you possibly can. And the only way to do that is really through the community that invests in it and everybody else that comes here to actually make sure that this special place, Rock Island Southern Lagoon, is protected. So we met with everybody during this week. We had a beautiful dinner last night where we also got beautiful interaction with traditional dance by the community as well. We also met with the women community, who's very strong here in Palau to protect the Rock Island Southern Lagoon, and we made a number of recommendations as well. It is very clear that the Rock Island Southern Lagoon today is still in very good shape in a lot of places, but it also has challenges, of course. And one of our recommendations is to make sure that financially there is the right and sufficient investment made to make sure, for example, that the rangers are in sufficient numbers and have sufficient capacity to actually make sure that they can go out and that they can guard and safeguard the Rock Island Southern Lagoon. Another part of our recommendation is that because your culture is a Palauan culture that cannot be transmitted by other people from other countries because they haven't lived that history. They aren't part of that history. So another recommendation that we very much want to make is that when people come here and they have a guided tour, for example, that these are Palauan people that do the guided tour, and that when others are visiting here through tourism activities, that the return of those activities are coming back to the community. And some of those resources, some of that funding that is being spent by tourists, that it goes back to the conservation of Rock Island Southern Lagoon. Because when you come here, inevitably, you have a footprint. You make an impact on the reef. And it is, at the end of the day, the Palauan community, Palauan people that protect this area for their own livelihoods, but they're very open to share it with everyone because everybody can come here, but it needs to be visitors that are respectfully visiting. And the Palauan culture, that it is transmitted to others around the world by Palauan people, and that the return to the community also allows sufficient resources to protect the Rock Island Southern Lagoon. So I want to end there, but I want to share again that we had a beautiful visit to your country. We deeply appreciate that we had this experience. And having been to many of the Marine World Heritage sites all over the world, it's part of my job to visit them and to work with colleagues from all over the world. I should say that the Rock Islands Southern Lagoon are a true treasure of the world, a true treasure of Mother Nature that is given to us. And we are very willing as UNESCO and very passionate as UNESCO team to continue to work with you to protect the Rock Island Southern Lagoon. Thank you.
Awesome. I think that truly describes and explains what kind of experience you had. And I actually wanted to ask you, is this your first time coming to Palau?
It is the first time coming to Palau, yeah. I hope it's not the last time.
And what's the difference between staring at Palau through social media and pictures and actually touching the sand and going on the beach?
Oh, it has no liking, right? There's nothing like actually experiencing a place. You can watch 1,000 pictures, you can hear 1,000 stories. There's nothing that replaces actually going there. I think we also had a very exceptional visit to Rock Island Southern Lagoon, thanks to the director and, of course, the governor of Palau, of Korar, that allowed us to visit everything. So I took a little nap on one of the islands the other day on Saturday, and I opened back my eyes, and I thought I was in paradise. For a few minutes, I figured, like, where am I? It's just so beautiful. It's just so exceptional.
The weather was great. Everything was in our favor. We had great weather. I arranged for the weather also, so we had beautiful skies. The sun was out. The water was beautiful. So, and it's interesting how often I've gone out to the Rock Island Southern Lagoon. But when I went out with Fanny and Elle that day, it's like a lot of the different sites, it's like I was also experiencing them for the first time.
Yeah.
It's different when you're going with someone from her background and having discussions during the site visit about the components and the different features of the site. And I realized that I had somewhat, to a certain degree, started to take for granted the value
Yeah.
and the beautiful, phenomenal features of the site. So it was also a wonderful experience for me, Vera, going out there with them and seeing it through, particularly through Fanny's eyes, who it is her job to go around the world looking at this type of places. So looking at the Rock Island Southern Lagoon through her eyes on Saturday was also quite an experience for me as well, you know?
Yeah, because I still remember a few years back when I was a member of the Core State Legislature. And there was a day that was given to all the Ngaramati
Yes, the traditional leadership.
leaders, where they were given a day, given a big boat, and we were all going to ride and visit the conservation areas. And it was the first time of me actually getting inside the conservation area, because I used to be a ranger. I used to work for her too, back in the day. And so I remember just going around on the borders and not going in and just protecting it and visiting it and making sure that. But this one day, where I was on the boat with the traditional leaders and everybody else, and we were riding this big boat, and we actually went inside Ngederak.
Yeah.
And that's when it hit me, because growing up, conservation, the term conservation has been overused, as in it's been part of our languages that you just kind of hear it and take it for granted. Until that day where all these traditional leaders were sitting down, and the number of dugongs, turtles, GTs, everything that I saw, and to me the experience, the part of it that made me proud was that I'm looking at all these creatures, and then I turn to my left and there's the dock. It's not that far. Here's the city of Koror. I'm staring at it, and I'm staring at all these things in one place. And that's when I understood the importance of conservation, because these are things that we grow up and we're so used to that we take it for granted.
Yeah.
And then from that moment, I truly appreciated the work that was being done, UNESCO, everything else that had the domino effect that came to that moment. And I remember one of the traditional leaders where he was kind of giggling and saying, we should change the name of this place from Ngederak. And I go, to what? He goes, just to change the name to there. Just name it there. And I go, why? It goes, every second on the boat ride, there's one. There's like all the different species and everything that I saw in a span of 15 minutes was everything that while fishing, while doing stuff, you never get to see it because it's there. So that to me was, it made me a proud Palauan. But like you said about the islands, I was away, and I told you this before we started, but I left Palau and I stayed overseas for 12 years. It took me that time to get away from Palau to truly appreciate where I came from, to never notice what I missed. And it might sound like people laugh at this, but when I first touched down in the airport in Palau, when I came back home, the thing that kind of made me teary was the smell of the swamp. Like, people would laugh and go, why? Because I don't know. It's just that moment where I'm coming down the big bridge, and you're coming to Koror side, and you're going through Ngesal, and then that scent of the swamp made me teary, and then it made me,
You're home.
Yep, I'm home. And because all those things that I went, we were going through the swamps and playing and all these things, it was just part of life. I never understood why it meant that much until I was away for that long. I came back after seeing what I saw for the next 12 years in the US and where I went, and I could tell that, okay, I'm from somewhere that it might be like a dot on the map, but it is heaven to me. And so when I came back home and decided to stay, like, this is, now I appreciate it more. And it's things that I'm teaching my kids to make sure that they understand where they came from in order to move forward in life. And so I really do appreciate what you just said. It took you a couple of minutes, but you nailed it. And so I appreciate that. But I want to give Director Olegeriil a minute to kind of, or if you can, try and explain to the viewers, for those that, and I know there's a bunch that do not know what UNESCO is. So if you can kind of explain what it is and the value and the importance of it, if that's okay.
Yeah, absolutely. So UNESCO is basically the United Nations organization for science, for education, and for culture. And so we do a lot of different things, especially around education around the world, but a critical part is the preservation of heritage. So things that are special to us as people, as humans. And so UNESCO World Heritage is an international convention, so it's a legal instrument. It's in fact one of the only legal instruments that is ratified by all the countries around the world, pretty much. So the World Heritage, UNESCO World Heritage, it's two components. On the one hand, we have a governing body that decides every year which places on Earth deserve this UNESCO World Heritage designation. So that means which places are of truly that universal, exceptional value, that you have something that you can't find anywhere else. So they decide upon that every year. It takes countries often 10, sometimes 20 years to get to that designation. So it's quite selective. But the other component of it is, once the site is inscribed on the UNESCO World Heritage List, it does immediately from the same day that it is inscribed, it comes with the responsibility to protect it. So the country as a whole takes the responsibility to protect it, but as I said earlier, it's a shared responsibility. So every country around the world that does something in this in the Rock Island Southern Lagoon has that shared responsibility to protect it. So what UNESCO does on a daily basis, so my work, for example, on a daily basis, we work with national governments or with local authorities that are responsible for the protection of these places, to work with them to make sure that they have the right capacity building, that if there's challenges, that we look together at these challenges, that we identify solutions to some of these challenges. So we go basically around the world and work very intensely with those different World Heritage sites. And then, of course, at a global international scale, we communicate about these places. We do a lot of awareness to make people understand that, this is something that is unique. And to give you a couple of examples how unique marine World Heritage around the world is, we did an assessment, and over 35% of all the world's endangered and vulnerable species that are on the IUCN Red List are actually located in these marine World Heritage sites. Over 20% of all the blue carbon on our planet is embedded in these UNESCO World Heritage sites. Of these World Heritage sites collectively cover about 15% of all the coral reefs on the planet. So it's only 50 sites that we're looking after, but it's actually a huge part of our ocean diversity, our coral reefs, and we have also over 100 traditional communities that are dependent on these livelihoods, on these ecosystems for their livelihoods. So our daily work is really to work with governments, and you can see our results are small and big. A big part of our work last year, for example, was in Australia's Great Barrier Reef. I think many viewers probably know Australia's Great Barrier Reef. So we worked together with the government to have them, for example, invest over $500 million to reverse water quality. It's a very bad water quality that the starfish are feeding on and are eating the coral reefs, and it's a big part of why actually the Great Barrier Reef is not really very well protected up till this point. doing. And so that's, for example, one of the things we do. And now we're here in Palau. We made an investment with partners, over $1 million, to actually invest in Kar state government to help protect the Rock Island Southern Lagoon. And so that's our daily work. That's what it stands for, and that's what we do as UNESCO.
And Pierre, if I can just add that and really sort of bring that into the local perspective, the term that's used by UNESCO, the official term for that enables you to get inscribed on the site, is when you attain outstanding universal value. Just the term itself, outstanding, universal, so outstanding tukubets sa tukubets. Yan yung universal law say lengalakra orion lengalakra bela mora bulula adal mora universe.
Lengalak rangat mo?
Lengalak kal mo roy drangat mo. So when you attain that outstanding, so the Rock Island Southern Lagoon not only has value to the people of Koror now and to the people of Palau, it has value to the whole world. That's the value. And so if it's not protected, if we lose it, if we do not maintain the authenticity of that value, it will be a loss to all of mankind. Not just to the people of Koror, not just to the people of Palau, but to all of mankind. That's the value of the Rock Island Southern Lagoon that we need to understand as a people, and we need to work together collectively to protect it and to make sure that it is still here for my son and his son and for future generations. Sometimes it becomes a cliche, future generations. We're doing this for future generations. But we really do need to understand that if we do not start working yesterday to protect it with all these challenges, and you have all these challenges that are coming in with the impacts of climate change. We went to the site, we went to Ngasil, lagim na lang Ngasil, so we saw the sea level rise that have eroded the sand, so we saw all the trees along the edge of the beach that have been uprooted. We see that in Ngarameaus. We see that in all the other sites in the Rock Island Southern Lagoon. We saw coral bleaching also. So while we're a small nation and we may not be contributing to the emissions that the bigger nations are doing, but we need to be able to understand what can we do as a community on the ground to mitigate or adapt to these changes that climate change is bringing. And we're surrounded by water. And we will be affected more at a higher degree than other nations around the world. Even though we contribute less to the emissions, we are the most vulnerable island nation. So she mentioned that earlier about the whole thing, that it's a shared responsibility. And we really need to own that. So what do I always go around saying? You all have to be what? You all have to be guardians. Everybody has to be a ranger. Everybody has to be a guardian when they go out into the site, into the Rock Island Southern Lagoon. And she was talking about the capacity of the rangers. There's not, she now sees, as you see and I see and everybody see, there can never be enough rangers. We cannot be everywhere all the time. So everywhere and every time, anyone out of the site needs to be a ranger. That's why I go around and preach that everybody has to be a guardian. We're just not guarding the site, we're guarding what it means to us. It is our legacy, it is who we are, it identifies us as a people. We are children of the ocean. We cannot, and I've been trying to show her that during the past couple of days, that you cannot separate the ocean from our culture. They are one and the same. So again, I have to urge everyone that everyone must be a guardian. Come over to the Rangers compound and I'll give you a guardian shirt.
Now, is there any other UNESCO sites in Palau?
No.
No.
The Rock Island Southern Lagoon is the sole inscribed UNESCO site in Palau so far. Since 2012, June 29, 2012. So we'll be celebrating the 12th year this coming June. But I say so far because there are certainly other places around Palau that has similar characteristics. And I know that there's a biosphere system in Ngatmao, Ngatpang, and Ngaramlungoy, I believe, that is currently being looked at by those particular communities as a possible nomination in the future to be an inscribed biosphere site. Yep.
And then since 2012,
Yes.
2012, right? Since 2012 being, what is the biggest challenge as you see until today that we're still tackling?
I think, and she mentioned that, and she touched down on Wednesday, Fanny, and I think that, and I wanted to not put that in her head so much. I wanted her, through her engagements with the different partners and the community and the leadership, to come to her own conclusions on what she will see as the major challenges. And I think she reflected that in her opening statement. So the biggest challenge for me as sort of the frontline guardian for the site is two things. One, and she's talked about having really the institutional and human capacity, skill set for the rangers and the conservation officers and all the management folks that have to go that manage the site, really have that capacity to do that at the right sufficient skills level. But the institutional capacity as well, to be able to have the boats, the technology that we need to really, she's talking about the VMS system, the vessel monitoring system that our patrol boats are using, to assist the rangers in being able to really ascertain where the boats are, who are on those boats, are they permitted, without actually having to send out 5-10 boats, which is so moving in that direction in terms of institutional capacity. So that is always one of the foremost things, is resources. Being able to really sufficiently protect the site at the level that it needs to be protected and to be able to maintain it. The other one, with a challenge, but I am happy to say, as she's mentioned, and insisting that only in a few days, for me, I see it day in, day out, how it's grown, that level of community stewardship. So one of the challenges always has remained for the work to build that stewardship within the community, to enable them to understand the value of what the site means to everybody and all the different purposes, so they can essentially be guardians for the site, be rangers when they're out there. When I say everybody has to be a ranger, everybody has to be a guardian, we must first build that sense of stewardship. Yeah? So that was a challenge, and it continues to be in other aspects, but I'm happy to say that we have come a long way, and I think Fanny mentioned that she's seen that in all her interactions throughout the past couple of days, how there is that sense of a community with everybody, how everybody's committed and invested to do their part. So that remains a work that needs to keep rolling. We need to always use every opportunity that we can to engage people, for them to understand. Because I don't care what kind of work you do, who you are, if you're in Palau, one way or the other, at any given time, you're going to go out into the Rock Islands.
Oh, yeah.
So you need to understand what they are, what their value is, and you need to be able to understand that you have a responsibility to also guard and protect that site, not only for you, but for future generations as well. As we all like to say those things, but we need to really put value and meaning to those things that we're saying. You know what I mean? Yep. So.
And that's why we call her fierce. Yeah. Was there anything you wanted to share again about that subject, or
Well, I think it was very well summarized. It's very true that director didn't overload us with all the challenges that there were from the start. We were able to see them ourselves. So yes, I think those were very well summarized. And my hope is that tourism is clearly a very important activity for Palau as a country. And for the income that comes with that. But I think it's very important to, on the one hand, really realize what you have here and make sure that you do not undersell that. My immediate sense after a few days being here, having seen the true beauty and what you actually have, both culturally and naturally, I think it might be undersold to the people that come here. There is huge problems all over the world with mass tourism. We see this everywhere. This is a very significant, it's probably our biggest problem apart from climate change when it comes to heritage sites. I think it's very important to strengthen that vision to the future visitor, a vision of more in the sense of ecotourism, a responsible visitation. Give the international visitor that wants to come here the option to experience it in the right way and with the right financial return to the site to protect it. There is room for that in the world. There's people everywhere that are willing to pay the right and fair price to come to a place if that place and the country is protecting it and making sure that that visitor experience is special. So I think it's very important to realize that. I think that comes with not taking for granted the special place you have, and you also utilize that UNESCO World Heritage designation in building that vision for a sustainable visit. Away perhaps from some of that mass tourism that ultimately doesn't bring much to the community. It destroys the natural environment very often. We see this all around the world, similar problems. And I think Palau is very much at that crossroads with all the challenges that there were, of course, in with the COVID pandemic. I think Palau is at a crossroads where it actually really can make that change and move into a direction, I think, in my view, is a sustainable direction, not for the marine environment alone, but also for the community and for the children and grandchildren of Palau.
Thank you. And with that, I want to kind of get into that because I agree with you 110%. I think we are underpricing everything, but it is a challenge because I believe it is weaved in our DNA. Is Palauans. It's just that hospitality, that kindness. That is something that is very hard to because I will bet you $100 that at 6 p.m. tonight, if you would walk to any household and just knock on the door and tell them I'm hungry, they'll fix you food without questions and give you food to eat.
And ask your name later.
And ask your name later and say, are you okay? They'll find the car to take it. That's just the way we are. And so I really do believe that we need to not be underpriced because I remember when I was in the legislature, we were trying to, the fee for the jellyfish lake,
Yes.
to make it like $500. Like just random numbers that we were trying to get it to pass, and it always comes down to that being from Koror, there's that saying that it is Koror because of people from every parts of the whole country that came together, and this is where we're at. That's the reason why Koror is rich in everything. And it's that mentality that I think that I think it's important to be educated, because it's the same thing as I believe that my generation is the last generation to actually eat traditional food, turtles.
Yes.
Yeah, I believe that because of the education and that they ran with it and taught kids and
The campaign we were talking about.
Yeah, the campaign, Abuelas Ali, turtle is our friend. And it came to the part where our kids are demanding us to stop and teaching us, and I truly believe that we're seeing the end of that. I believe that because when it's seasonal, it's not that many now, and it's just a few numbers, and I understand that the kids are on their parents just don't do it anymore. So I'm seeing the end of that, and so I believe with the right education and with you coming to visit and explaining the weight and the value of what UNESCO is and how Koror is part of that, to really understand what it is, will eventually have it priced the way it's supposed to be priced.
The fair price.
Oh yeah.
The fair price, I think, to yourselves.
Yeah.
On the one hand, to continue to be able to be that generous community, and to be able to continue to have that generosity to give, but on the other hand, also just fair in the sense that you are taking the responsibility to protect it, and that does come with the necessity of having the means to have enough rangers, to have enough boats, to have enough equipment. It's just a practical way of doing the work and taking up the responsibility. So, but you cannot take up that responsibility if others are coming and having the impact, but not helping you to support you in actually protecting that. So it's to protect actually the generosity that you have as a community that I think is important to not undersell it around the world, so that it doesn't disappear.
And I think that's just an excellent way that she put it in, and she used the term fair.
Yeah.
So there will be, the leaders. We leave it up to them to sit and work out what those numbers are. But I think the whole concept of around the term fair. What is fair? Fair also includes having the ability to be able to maintain it. And keep it at that pristine and prestigious level that it needs to be. That's what's fair also.
Yeah.
So,
Oh, yeah.
So we need to look at it along those lines and say, what would be fair in terms of dollar signs for the paying customer, and what would be fair in order to maintain it, run the operations and maintain it, to keep it at that level. So again, we leave it to the leaders, but the recommendation has been made, and we understand the value. We understand that the value of what it is, not just in monetary value, but also the value of the cultural value and sort of the overarching value of what it means to us as a people.
Yeah.
So,
And I think this is very, very important.
Yep.
To educate the constituents and everybody to understand the value.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think that's a really positive thing to do.
Awesome.
So, yeah. I think that's it. I think that's everything, that people who have questions about this are truly informed, and this is going to be playing. So I'm pretty sure if they have more questions, they'll call her. Yeah. But But let me. I want to give you a couple of minutes to say whatever you want to say to the audience, and then after that, I'll give it to the director, and then I'll close our program, and hopefully have a blast the rest of your trip, Palau. Yeah.
So I wish to, from the true depths of our sincerity, and on behalf of the UNESCO team that was here, I would truly want to thank warmly again the community of Palau. We were in your country. We have been eating your food. We have been exposed to your cultural practices. We've been able to learn a tremendous amount from you, all the different segments of society and of the community. And we feel a very deep appreciation to have had such a special and warm welcome. We also appreciate the trust that you have in us as UNESCO to come here and to have this exchange with us. It's not always like that all over the world. We're sometimes not liked when we go as UNESCO, but I feel it do this work for a long time, for over 20 years, and I feel the challenges have become so big with climate change, with plastic pollution. A lot of these problems are international problems that you cannot solve just locally in one place. And I'm of the true belief that the only way we really can tackle these challenges is by listening to each other and work with each other. People internationally and people locally. If we do come together, I do strongly believe that we can resolve some of the challenges that we have, and we can leave that beautiful legacy that we have inherited, such as the Rock Island Southern Lagoon. I believe strongly that together we can pass it on to future generations. So this respect, this welcome, this really working seriously together, and we did for many hours during the day, from morning till evening during the visit. I do truly feel that this is also your generosity to welcome us and to actually have that exchange. So thank you. Please do not forget that you do have something truly unique, and we'll be happy to help with you and the Karo State government to develop awareness materials, to develop communication materials. I do think that everyone, every child in every school should from very young understand the true beauty that it has here, and understand that this is something that is special the world over and not just here in Palau. So with that comes also the awareness to not undersell this beautiful asset that you have here. So we will be continuing to work together with Karo State and with national government, and also with the communities. So we're open to any suggestion on how that should go, and we look forward very much to our next trip to Palau. Thank you.
Sulang Vera, thank you so much for this opportunity to be able to come and talk about the Rock Island Southern Lagoon. We always try to, I jump at every opportunity to be able to do that. And this was even more a very valuable opportunity to be able to showcase that a distinct label that the Rock Island Southern Lagoon as a UNESCO World Heritage Site. And I know that sometimes I just walk into a room and they'll go, oh, she's going to talk about the RISL again. So I thought a different face would sort of make you happy. But yes, again, we are very fortunate to be able to live in a place where such a beautiful place like the Rock Island Southern Lagoon exists. So first we have to give thanks to God for the blessings, and we also have to really appreciate each other and how our community works together to really protect and manage the place. I think Fanny had an opportunity to see the type of management scheme that we employ, not just government, but through a lot of the NGOs, a lot of partners, the community, traditional leadership, fishermen, the tour industry, everyone, the schools, and everyone who has an opportunity, and everyone is really a stakeholder when it comes to the Rock Island Southern Lagoon, because that is who we are. My message remains the same. My core message remains the same when it comes to the Rock Island Southern Lagoon. We all have to be guardians. It is our responsibility. It does not matter if you're from Koror or if you're from Ngartmao, or you're from any other parts of the world. It does not matter if you're a visiting tourist. It is a shared responsibility, as Fanny said. We have to protect and make sure that this site, inclusive of the Rock Island Southern Lagoon, is here. It's not something that we only talk about. Our children only talk about it in the future and see pictures of, because we've damaged it to a point where it is not existent anymore and is not worth mentioning. So again, my message, be a guardian. It is your responsibility. It is your obligation. It is what you owe to the next generation. So thank you very much for this opportunity. And we look forward to the very strong partnership that we have with UNESCO. We thank them for the different layers and different series of opportunities and support that they bring into the management of the Rock Island Southern Lagoon, building our capacity, hooking us up with technical partners and experts from and shared experiences with other site managers of similar heritage sites that help build our capacity to better manage the place. So we thank you again on behalf of everyone. We really thank you for the partnership, Fanny, and we also look forward to continue partnership in the future. And remember, be a guardian.
Thank you. And on behalf of TMC, I truly thank you for your time to help educate, to help with Coral State. But it shows you what kind of person she is. I've known her ever since I was this high. We used to be neighbors when I was a kid. And so I understand, and I'm very proud to have her be the director and talk about UNESCO, because number one, she's very passionate about what she's been doing. She's the only person that I know that's very educated on UNESCO, and when you talk about Southern Lagoon and everything, there's not an inch that she doesn't know. And I truly appreciate her for that, and I know Coral State appreciates her a lot. And for all the viewers, when I was growing up and I was leaving Palau to go to the States, there's something that my mother always told me before I left. She always said, before you do something that you think will change your life, I want you to stop and pretend I'm standing there with you. And then ask yourself, if you take that step, would I approve or not? And this was a mother of 5 sons. She had no daughters. It was 5 boys, and she was like a single mother. She was a single mother. And so with that, I pass to the viewers, when you go to the Rock Island Southern Lagoon, before you do anything, imagine if Jennifer, director, was standing right there.
Would she approve?
If not, then don't do it. Be a guardian until next Tuesday. Thank you. Thank you, Director. Thank you. Thank you.